Hey noble ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and I have heard the news. It seems like the Kingdom Come Deliverance II is in the making and it will be released. Now this is very exciting news also because, I mean, back in the day when they released the original Kingdom Come Deliverance, of which I am a fan by the way, you know, I made videos and content. I even went all the way to Prague in Czech Republic to meet them. You know, Warhorse Studio was great. I met their historian, we had a little chat. I had no beard for some reasons, but it was a great experience regardless of the fact that I had no beard. Now, the fact that they're making Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is fascinating, but I still haven't watched the trailer, so I'm gonna react to that live for you, and hopefully it's going to be great. But as a form of respect to the studio, I think I should be wearing something like some sort of medieval hat. And let me see what I've got here. How about this for a hat? I don't know, maybe it's a bit much. Perhaps it's a bit much, even for me. What do you think, you muppet? Great. Let's do the review. Okay, you know what? I've got something else that it's a little less, you know, voluminous. Still 15th century, how about that? Jack of all trades. Jack of all trades? 2 million views, hey, look at that. Okay, let's go, me lord.
Peggy 18.
I'm 42, so should be okay. I'm already a little confused because again I'm reacting to this live with you, but this is this like with real actors, or are they using Unreal Engine 6, which doesn't exist? Honestly, I actually do have a question. Are they using their own proprietary engine, or are they using Unreal? I don't know, I'll have to Google it, but this looks like I think it's shot with real actors.
When it seems you're out of luck, there's just one man who gives a fuss.
I love it so far, and it is shot with real actors. I love it, love the cinematography. Very nice production.
A friend who'll never leave you stuck. Now who can that friend be? Henry, a hero Henry.
It's been a while.
He does look like Henry. Wait, he looks like Henry the character in the first game. He must be like the actor that they took the facial. It must be, but that's pretty nice. Even the voice is the same.
But now we can finally show you Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Okay, now we are in game and we are seeing what the engine is capable of and what they're doing, and as always these games are impressive graphically, and I'm impressed already with what I see. Lovely colors on the shields, very nice coloring of the, and that's one thing about Kingdom Come Deliverance, is that it's not like a 100% you're walking through a history book, but it's probably as close as you can get to a historically accurate medieval representation when it comes to gaming as far as where we are now. So very nice, ready to see battles, arrows. Very nice poleaxe right there. Let's continue. Love the fact that we see trebuchet, seems like some sort of siege. That'd be nice, because I think that's something that was missing in the game, not story-wise, but when it comes to what you could experience. I already see some gunpowder, which is wonderful. I liked the first one, but there were a few things missing, one being early firearms and the other one being crossbows. So I've already seen an arrow and a bow and arrow. I hope they put crossbows in it again, because that was one thing that I just could not understand why they wouldn't put, since, you know, we know that the Kingdom of Bohemia was a crossbow country, absolutely was a crossbow country, and also seeing firearms would be historically accurate. We already got the firearms there. If they just give me a crossbow, just one. Give me one crossbow in this trailer, I'll give you 10 out of 10. As always, one thing that it was impressive in the first, and it seems like it's going to be impressive as well in the second, showing really their ability, is architecture. The buildings, even though they were ever so slightly smaller than originals, but something you wouldn't notice unless you've done like medieval architecture at university, but they were spectacular. If there is one thing that I think that I would give them literally 11 out of 10 in the previous one, and I can see already here it's looking great, is the building, inside and outside. Spectacular. Looks like it's keeping up with that. Fantastic.
I always dreamt of leaving this place. Becoming more than a peasant.
Yeah, it looks good. Like the bold skill in the guy, very nice. I mean, they were already pretty good with atmosphere, but here I think they got better. You know, learn by doing. It really feels like a cinematic experience for what I can see so far. One thing that I'm noticing, I don't want to speak too soon. I need to see those medieval costumes better. But one point of disagreement that I had with the Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, the previous episode, was that sometimes clothes were a little too short up. And in fact, you could even see a little bit of the crotch of some people, which is kind of weird from a medieval perspective. But now they actually seem to have fixed that. Interesting. So it seems like they put more attention to the clothes, perhaps. But let's see. I'm interested in the armor and the weapons. That's what I want to see now. We've seen a little bit, a few helmets from the back. I saw a kettle hat. Let's see what else you've got.
You know the trouble with an adventurous life? It can end before it gets started.
Okay, so this is the first part that I gotta say I don't like and have a problem with. Sorry guys, but I gotta tell you how it is. So, you see this bow used by this archer, and then you see he has a little wrapping where he's holding the bow. That is not historically accurate. And before actually stating this, I sort of wanted to double check, so I went on the website Manuscripts and Miniatures, which is a massive archive full of medieval iconography, period of course. And the archive contains 464 images of bows in the Middle Ages. I went through all of them, and as you can see, medieval bows do not have that sort of wrapping to place your hand in. The only exception that I found was this, but still looks nothing like it. What we have got in game makes it look like more as some sort of Victorian age target practice bow, not historically accurate as far as I'm concerned, so I think it would be much better to just remove that. Yes, so the armor is looking really good. I think they have improved. The original already had armor that looked good, but sometimes what they did is that they had like very big ocularia in the helmets, so the visors weren't really as well representative of what a real medieval helmet would have looked like. But now I don't seem to see that. So I think they've improved. This time they look a bit more like a museum replica would look, rather than what you would see on like a kind of a mid-range reenactment, which is the sort of gear impression that I got from the first. This is looking better. I'm happy to see. I saw some breastplates. I want to see if they are properly shaped, but so far it looks like they have improved on the armor department.
Congratulations, Sir Knight. You finally become a man. Wake up. Pull yourself together, Henry.
Yeah, I kind of want to double down on that. The armor does look better. I'll have to look at the weapons, but yeah, it really makes me want to be like, oh, what happened? Some kind of drama, someone got killed, he's got these nightmares. This is making me want to play, and I'm totally gonna play this on my channel in full armor, because of course I am. Oh my gosh, the crossbow, guys, I love you. Warhorse Studio, my respect for you has just doubled in 3 seconds. The armor looks better, the helmets are better shaped, the sword looks nice, but you gave me a crossbow. I'm a simple man. Give me a crossbow, be your friend for a lifetime. Crossbow.
Nobody will hand anything on a platter.
Yeah, love to see it, love to see it. I like the fact that he's like wearing the visor up, which is something that happened historically, even during battles. They actually did it. I know you think it's crazy, but hey, medieval knights were a little crazy, I suppose, but I see that he's doing that. I appreciate that. Maybe you could do it. I wonder if you can do it in the game, because of course it's a first-person game, but I remember sometimes wearing the helmet, it would actually block some of your, for example, you know, peripheral vision and lower vision, mostly that's what helmets block. But if you could do that, like if it gives you the option, guys, if you are developing this, listen to this advice. If you are implementing the visor blocking some of your vision, it would be nice if you gave us the option to raise the visor, maybe lower your armor protection, expose you to certain stabbing attacks, but, you know, remove the block. That would be really nice. But I think he's wearing some like Visby gauntlets, which would be probably a little dated at this time in history, but then again, that did happen, because we know that, for example, sometimes we find armor that is like 20 years old or 30 years old on a battlefield, because not everyone could afford expensive stuff. So if you are, like, as he says, he's a peasant and he wants to become a knight, so the fact that it comes from the low class and it gives you this kind of progression curve that you usually get in role-playing games, can't even talk, then it's fine that he buys armor that is a little, it's not a problem. Even if you set a game in 1470, for instance, and you can still show armor that is like from 1450, 1440, that's okay, because not everyone could afford the latest and greatest, right? Imagine it with computers, like, yes, there is the 4090 whatever version now, but not everyone can afford it, and people would make do with like a 3090, 3080, maybe even older generation graphic cards. That's the same, so it's fine to see stuff like that. And yeah, so far this is looking great.
To men like you and me.
Still have a long way to go till your work is done.
Another thing I wanna point out, look at these breastplates, they're very well shaped. I love how they look. I've got a similar breastplate of a similar period that I can show you, and they're well made. They're not too long. That's something that usually happens, but these guys are pros when it comes to this, so they know what they're doing. Even the mail, how it's all the way fitted, it's well fitted. It's not showing all of the throat, exposing it to, you know, incoming attacks, which is usually what you see in a lot of low budget and sometimes even pretty high budget movies, to be honest. So they're doing a better job than most medieval movies that right here with the mail and how it's fitted. And I also like, so one thing that I'm only a little afraid of is the fact that sometimes what happens is that when these studios look at either, like, you know, Battle of the Nations, Bohort, but even reenactment, let's say that they focused on a reenactment, a high-level reenactment place where people buy armor that it's perfect, historically accurate. This is the feel I sometimes get from Kingdom Come Deliverance. They looked at historical reenactment and they reproduced that into the game without taking into consideration the fact that oftentimes what we see in historical reenactment, it's not a great representation of what would have been commonly worn in a real medieval battlefield. How so? Well, the reason is that oftentimes when we all want to reenact, when we have the financial possibility, the best knight possible, also based on our own personal preferences. So what often tends to happen on reenactment, and this is not something people speak about very much, but what often happens in a reenactment camp is that you will see, for example, a helmet type with a specific type of visor that someone buys, gets them produced for them, everyone else likes it, they all think it's cool, and they all also want it. But perhaps in period that would have been a rare element, like something very exotic that only appears in iconography once. But then in a reenactment fair or in a reenactment encampment, I don't know why I say camp, what sometimes can happen is that instead that becomes common. And so as you can see, yes, it's historically accurate, yes, it's very well made, but in real medieval Europe that would have been like 1 out of, I don't know, 1,000 knights that would have had that configuration. But in a modern reenactment situation, since we are all really doing what we want, you see that like 60 knights out of 80 are wearing a helmet or are wearing a configuration that would have been instead rare. So I hope that that doesn't happen, but I feel it will, unless they have very specific indications and people that can actually tell them, you know, this shouldn't be as common and this should be rare. But that's just me. When it comes to this blade, I see a problem that I saw on the first KCD, which is their swords kind of reflect what you see in Czech Republic, honestly, and reenactment situations. I've seen pictures where you see these blades that are kind of not very well polished, like the finish is not great, and I think instead the finish would have been great for knights in the medieval period, and so I would work a little bit on that finish, but I don't want to go too much into the details, otherwise this is going to be like a 3 hours review of a 2 minutes trailer. No, so let's keep on watching. Let's see, well, 13 minutes, but yeah. Yeah, you just got another 10 points because you can use early firearms. I absolutely love that. And look at the heater shields so far, all of which looked really, really well made. Maybe a little thicker than originals, but I understand that this could be a choice because, you know, as a developer, you have to find a balance between a perfect representation of medieval gear and what looks good on screen. So I think blades, if you make them too thin, as they would have been like in period, then you don't really see them well on the screen, and so they make them a little thicker. Maybe that's what they did with shields as well, making them a little thicker than what they would have been in period. But as long as they make them look like they're made in the correct materials, there was only one shield that kind of looked like metal, which is, if it's the case, I'm not aware of full metal, non-covered heater shields, but that could have been me seeing it wrong on the phone. So I'll review it, and if I was wrong, I'll say it. But apart from that, everything else, the heater shields look absolutely fantastic. Very, very well made. Very excited.
O merciful God, be kind and protect us so we don't blow our arses off. Amen.
Yeah, that looked absolutely spectacular. I'm very looking forward to this game. This is looking great. So I think now we are outside of the game engine, and they are just gonna tell us a little bit about the game, I suppose.
Hello and welcome. My name's Tom McKay, and together with Luke Dale, we're here to present the first in-depth look at Kingdom Come Deliverance II, an action RPG set in a realistic world of the late Middle Ages.
We're in Kuttenberg, a gorgeous city at the heart of Europe, but also at the heart of KCD II. So let's take you into the world of the game with the help of Warhorse, the creators of this medieval saga.
Yeah, that's nice. So I appreciate that they kind of expanded on this. Of course, you'll find a link in the description. You should totally go check this video out without me interrupting every 5 seconds. But I appreciate I was right. He's the actor and voice of the original character. Very, very nice. And let's see if they tell us more about the combat system, because I think that as people who practice or experience in sword fighting, whether it be HEMA, whether it be what have you, that was really the selling point for us, together with the beautiful graphics and the pretty trees and the accurate looking Middle Ages. And I thought that the original KCD-1 had a very interesting but a little, you know, audacious, if you will, a combat system that worked well. It was fun, but it did feel a little clunky at times. I want to see if they have improved on that, and if they did, how they're going to explain that from a technical standpoint.
It's almost exactly 10 years since I was doing a video like this, introducing our new game. It's almost exactly 6 years since this game called Kingdom Come Deliverance was finally released. So now it's perfect opportunity to show you what we have been working on those 6 years, which is Kingdom Come Deliverance II. And where else to do it than in this magnificent cathedral in this royal city of Kuttenberg, where majority of this game takes place. Back then, 10 years ago, at the beginning, it was only 11 of us in a small office. Now it's 250 people working very hard for years to bring...
Okay, that is, and sorry to interrupt, I think he's like the founder, the person, the kind of the mind behind Kingdom Come Deliverance, and if I'm not wrong, the protagonist is kind of based on him, right? I think, I could be wrong. But anyways, gosh, the studio grew so much. Good for you. Like, I'm happy when I see small indie studios becoming something like this. Like, it's a massive studio, 200 people. And so I have to imagine that, yeah, the combat system, the graphics, in general, the interactivity, the storytelling, everything about this game is gonna be like maybe 10 times better, since they have 20 times the workforce. And imagine like how in-depth, in 6 years of work, that's a lot of work. And pretty penny also, because I think the first one was kickstarted. I wonder if this is a Kickstarter. I don't know. Please let me know in the comments, but it might be something that now they are funding because they have the ability to do it, considering whatever they rightly earned from the marvelous work they did. But I love their work. Warhorse Studios is a great studio. Very, very hyped. But let's see what else they have to say.
The ultimate medieval RPG adventure.
Kingdom Come Deliverance II follows the adventures of Henry, a young lad who barely survives the invasion of a raiding force on his village. Henry embarks on a quest of revenge against those who butchered his family and burned his home to the ground.
As a trusted squire and friend to young Sir Hans, our hero Henry is sent on a simple mission, but things turn ugly very soon.
Kingdom Come Deliverance II is a continuation of Henry's previous adventures, but the story's written in such a way that it's perfect for newcomers to Henry's journey.
Henry is a character that I think everybody...
I think that's the best way to approach a follow-up, because honestly the first thing this is a beautiful picture, by the way. Look at those houses and the reflections on the armor. Anyways, I think it's a great approach, because I was already thinking, hey, I don't remember anything about Kingdom Come Deliverance except for like the armor, the combat, the horse, like the stuff that I was mostly the architecture, because I'm passionate about history. So rather than this story, I was more interested in how the Middle Ages and the medieval period were represented. That's me. Not everyone is the same, of course. Back in the day I didn't have a great computer, so I ended up playing it on console. Now I do have a good computer, and so I would be interested in trying to see if I can play this in 4K maxed out. That would be fantastic. But yeah, that's great that you can just start, so I don't have to replay the whole first game before I can jump into this. Although then again, if it's gonna take them a few months, I might do just that.
Everybody can identify with, because he starts off as a kind of nobody and goes through life with all these immense challenges, and I feel like everybody can relate to that.
Hans is all the kind of fun times and all the kind of ebullience and joy that Henry has in himself, but it takes a bit of...
Yeah, look at that Armin doublet. That looks nice with all the buttons. It's similar to my Armin doublet. This one is based on the paintings by Piero della Francesca, who is a late medieval painter from Tuscany. And yeah, it's a late 15th century Italian Armin doublet, but it's similar in its configuration with the buttons. Sometimes they didn't have buttons, sometimes you have like lacing, but I like buttons.
Of accessing, and I think Hans really helps him to do that.
Whew. You were right about our stench.
Let's hope this water isn't too cold. You wouldn't want your pride and joy shrinking.
I'm more worried about it being too deep.
Come on.
What we are making now is what it was supposed to be in the beginning, but we were not able to do it because we didn't have enough resources and experience and all that stuff. We've proven that the concept works, and now we can take it to another level, which we always wanted. The game is...
Yeah, so basically I kind of guessed right there that I think they're going to do a fantastic job, maybe even 10 times larger, because they have the funds, the resources and the experience and the workforce, of course. So that's going to be great. I wonder how many 3D artists they've got. Do they have more than one historian now? Is it the same historian that I met on my previous episode? That's something I'd like to know. If you're watching this, let me know. Is she still there? Because she was great. She was fantastic.
Much bigger in scope. Original game we had, I don't know, 3 hours of cutscenes. Now we have more than 5. Regarding the size of the world, it's 2 times bigger than it was. The story is longer and much more epic. So previously it was about an issues of small nobility with bandits in their villages. Now it's about problems of kings.
This is a behemoth of a game in comparison to the first, in my opinion. I think it's got so much more energy and pace and adventure.
But yeah, this is... Oh, look, I stopped it at the perfect shot, and you can see that they did a really good job with the heater shield from the back, how it's covered, because shields were always covered. Let's put this one out there for all those games that just give you crude planks, but shields were covered in the medieval period, and even before, like Viking Age and all that. They would have like they could have all sorts of different kinds of covering. They could have like linen, they could have gesso, they could have parchment, if you will, like, which is what looks like, I think this is the case here. It's either leather or parchment. Sometimes it could be rawhide, and then the lacing is very historically accurate, and I love that. Like, not that you need it to enjoy the game, I suppose, but I do, and I know you do, you nerds. So that's good. And then you see there, like, there is a little the stances of combat that are historically accurate. It's great. It's great.
And action and fun and trial and tribulation and just everything that you could want from setting up the characters so beautifully in the first game, and then throwing them out there and going, right, let's see what you're made of. This is going to be so much fun.
Henry is a young guy, so he's not really like so deeply entrenched in his already.
All right, so I don't want to like watch the whole thing because I kind of want to encourage you to go to the official Warhorse Studio website and watch this whole explanation, but I'm sort of like halfway through, and I think I've seen enough to be really excited about the game. And I also noticed that now they're kind of reusing the same assets when it comes to, you know, what they showed us within the game engine, and then I see that they're showing us a little bit about the music and whatnot. So I think for when it comes to this video and the reaction, we have seen enough. This is very exciting. I really am looking forward to play this game. I hope they can send me a key. Send me a key. Come on, send me a key. And I'll definitely play it and you know, do a reaction on this channel and see, you know, I'm gonna look at all the buildings and what you've done and maybe compare it, the clothing with period sources and all that, and the armor. And as always, if there is something that I don't think looks great, I'll tell you, because I think that's the best way to see. You know, I want to sing your praises, but when it's the case to do it. But if there is something like, hey, this ocularia doesn't look good, this helmet looks strange. And I also like to see some maybe different levels of polish on the armor, because nowadays, once again, and I'm included in that, I love a mirror polish on my armor, but not everyone could afford a mirror polish in the medieval period. It was a thing, but it wasn't like ubiquitous like we see in reenactment, because in the modern period it's very easy to achieve, or easy, it still takes work, but comparatively it's easy to achieve a mirror polish, even like pearl mirror polish, which is what I have on my armor. But back in the day, that would have been exclusive for people who really had the money and nobility and professional, successful men-at-arms, maybe even veterans, princes for instance. But a lot of like, if you are representing infantry, if you're representing a billman, well, his helmet shouldn't necessarily be mirror polished, and in fact a matte finish might be more realistic. So it would be nice if not all armor has the exact same level of polish. That's what I seem to see here. I might be wrong, but it could be cool that that's something you need to pay for. Like when you're getting, you have a helmet, maybe it's 300 gold, let's say, but if you want it mirror polished, you need to pay extra for it. And maybe it's something you could do later, like, hey, I'll buy the helmet for now, it's a little less expensive so I can survive, but after the battle, get a little loot, get a little payment, I do my quest, and I go back. I really like this helmet, so I don't want to buy a new helmet, I'll get it to mirror polish. Wouldn't that be really cool? Just an idea, and I'm sure that as I play the game I'll have more ideas, and you can, Warhorse Studio, you can of course ignore all of my ideas, because at the end of the day you are the pros. I'm just a happy customer who has played the first one, loved it very much, and looking forward to playing this one. Alright, number ones, but I hope that you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. Are you looking forward to playing this game? If so, please let me know in the comments, and what helmet and what armor do you think you will be will you be wearing a brigandine? Will you be wearing full plate? Is there any specific type, of like the Venetian, the great bassinet perhaps, which I remember was in the first game? Do you want to go for a visored bassinet, or are you hoping to see maybe a frog mouth in the game? If they do put a frog mouth, I'm wearing a frog mouth, absolutely. And it would be cool if they show, like the sources show, sometimes frog mouths during jousts were worn connected all the way down and strapped, and sometimes even bolted to the breastplate. But we do see in iconography that when we see frog mouths worn on the battlefield, sometimes they wear them a little further up, and they leave a little gap. It's an interesting piece of, you notice this if you really examine the iconography, they leave a little gap, and so it seems like that they are then suspended on your head, probably because that was more comfortable if you needed to be able to turn your head like you would on the battlefield, because the frog mouth is not exclusive for joust, it's usually specialized for joust, but some knights did want the extra protection it offered even on the battlefield, but they also didn't want to give up the ability to move, so there is a different configuration there. These are little details, but I think they would make the game greater. But yeah, that's just me. Thank you very much for watching, and remember, the Metatron spread his wings. Goodbye.